This serial starts out with the bizarre choice of having really loud opera singing playing over the opening titles, and because it's so old, it sounds super crusty. Huh. Odd decision to have your feature start with really bad vocalizations. Bit awkward. You never catch me doing that. Wait. Alrighty, The Ice Warriors is a 6-part story from 1967, this time with only 2 missing episodes to recreate an animation. The story does a fantastic job of immediately setting up the situation and the stakes at hand. There's a fair bit of world building before the main characters even make their appearance. So we're looking at Earth sometime in the future, and it's going through yet another ice age. Fantastic. And there's these various stations stationed throughout the world, and it's their job to hold back the oncoming global freezing. In my headcanon, this is directly related to the moon base, you know, that earlier Second Doctor serial where after their Cybermen attack the weather control station on the moon, they're like, yeah, maybe it's not such a good idea to have something so vital to Earth's safety on the moon. Let's build them all around the planet. You'd think people would start caring about environmental degradation, but, you know, whatever. There's a pretty cool explanation for it too. So, sometime in the future, humans became so good at developing artificial food that they just didn't have the need to plant stuff anymore. So they built a bunch of industrial housing units all over the world's natural landscape to cater for the ever-growing population. I know, very topical in 2022. Which, of course, the doi, less plants, less carbon dioxide turned into oxygen, one thing leads to another, boom, ice age. Are we gonna freeze to death instead of burn to death? I couldn't tell you if the logic checks out by today's scientific standards, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Earth is heading in that direction in 2022. Global warming, global freezing, there's always something going on. The entire leadership of this colony-based weather station thing just, like, lives their lives and all their decision-making revolving around this almighty, all-knowing computer. Like, the head honcho guy is just incapable of making decisions for himself. He's like, no, we must feed the computer all the information. It will tell us what to do. Let it dictate our decisions for us. Like, seriously? Meanwhile, some of them are outside the base, frolicking in the snow. I don't know what they're trying to do. They're probably trying to dig up the Yetis from the last episode, but they accidentally uncover a frozen giant green Lego figure. No, really. The claws are exactly the same as, like, the hands of a Lego minifigure. But it turns out it's not what they seem, for it is in fact the first appearance of an ice warrior, and it's slowly thawing out. Dun dun dun, tension. All this setup is conveyed quickly and clearly. The writing for the whole serial is, like, impeccable. Both the dialogue and, like, just the scenarios and setups they come up with and how they link into one another. Eventually, the TARDIS does show up by landing sideways in a big old pile of snow. You'd think this big old intergalactic spacecraft and all its magical wizardry would have some kind of, I don't know, stabilizer to make it land straight and not on its side on an uneven surface. You gotta fix that, Doctor. You know, just a bit of light-hearted shenanigans before the adventure. Look, if I haven't said it before in my reviews, let me say it definitively now. I love the trio of the Second Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria. Their dynamic is just so endearing, and I absolutely love watching their fun interactions with each other. It can be seriously heartwarming and hilarious at times. For example, there's an emergency situation in the central hub of this station, and there's like a clock ticking down, like, hey, if you don't fix this soon, you're gonna explode. And the Doctor just swoops on in at a moment's notice with frantic flourishes, and before anyone knows it, he saved the day. Before even saying hello, and everyone's just like, wait, who are you? Thank you for saving the day, but who are you? That's probably my favourite Troughton moment so far. So funny and perfectly timed. And to think, if that was animated in a similar style to the previous Abominable Snowman episodes, like, all that manic energy and everything would have just been completely lost. I seriously can't stop gushing over this serial. Like, it might be one of my new favourites. It's not quite Macroterra level, but it's definitely up there. Like, they pull off some crazy good avalanche effects, like practical avalanche effects, that make me wonder how the heck did they pull that off back in the 60s in like a tiny little indoor studio. I don't know where else to mention this, but Jamie has like a weird Randy moment and it just cracked me up. Moving on, there's a great escalation of the story with the threat of an atomic explosion combined with the rise of the Ice Warriors, putting both sides in a temporary stalemate, at least until that metaphorical ticking time bomb ticks down to its final few seconds. I'd better stop going over every individual story beat or we'll be here all day. I'll just say that it had me fully engaged with it through the entire runtime. You know, I'll say it, it's easily one of my new favourites. I was quite surprised to see online that it's not particularly fondly remembered in retrospect. Like, I guess the story kind of spins its wheels a few times in around the middle point. Like, there's a couple of, I don't know, convoluted scenarios that pretty much has characters, you know, we'll go here and then come back, and then go here and then come back. But, you know, I was still hooked. And you know what else was a surprising positive? The 2 animated missing episodes. They were of strangely high quality, with loads of convincing movement and lip syncing, which went a lot way into increasing immersion. It's funny how I like 2 2013 animated episodes than the entirety of the 2022 Abominable Snowman release, but I suppose that's just how things go when you get different studios to do different animations and everything is so underfunded. And finally, let us talk about the titular Ice Warriors. If this was my first time seeing them, then maybe I'd be a bit more critical of their design, but I've seen them before in old and new Who, and I just love their little costumes, you know, the big rubbery turtle shell and Lego claws, like, all of it. It's great. I love their look, their signature green colour, their whole backstory, like how they originally came from Mars because, you know, it's a bit chilly up there. The only thing I wasn't too fond of was this weird sound that they made when they talk. They have a really raspy voice, which is cool, and I think, like, fits their design, but there's also this hissing noise that comes out, which isn't in time with their dialogue or anything, so it's a bit like, you know, original Darth Vader, where it's like, you know, that's not synced up with his breathing, but I guess the audio wasn't quite refined enough, or wasn't able to be touched up enough, because it comes out as like blisteringly loud static every time they speak. I really hope they drop that element moving forward, because the raspy voice is fine enough. You can get away with that without having the loud every time they talk. Their involvement in the story was really cool, as well as starting out a bit more diplomatic rather than sinister. Like, we will talk this out, but only from a position of power. Before they eventually get that power and go, you know, full-on villain mode, zapping people left, right, and centre. Which, of course, you know, all the unnamed characters, they die straight away. But, you know, the main characters, Jamie, stubbed his toe. You'll be alright, mate. Just put some ice on there. There's plenty of ice to choose from. And that's all I've got to say on the Ice Warriors. Both the creatures and the serials. As you can probably hear, there's sirens in the background, so they're coming to get me for my bad opinions of the Abominable Snowman. But no, I'm really looking forward to them popping back up in the future. I'm pretty sure I might have seen like a telesnap reconstruction of the Seeds of Doom back in like 2010 or something. And the last time I saw the Ice Warriors was that weird modern series episode where there was one in a submarine, which I don't remember liking very much. But either way, I can't wait to see them again, because big green boys, like the big crab. I don't know what I'm saying now. Goodbye. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy week playing Sonic Frontiers or Rise of the Sphinx. This was an awesome first time viewing. I absolutely loved seeing the Ice Warriors in their first appearance. And I loved seeing some live action Second Doctor content. It was great. Tune in next week while we take a look at the fan favourite Enemy of the World. More live action Second Doctor.